Apple is gearing up to deliver what might be the most successful iPhone yet, with the iPhone 14, which is rumored to come with a brand new design, the biggest iPhone lineup ever, and camera upgrades that could really make it the ultimate smartphone and destroy any comparable Android flagship smartphone on the market. It's a bold claim, but let me explain. Alright, so a little hair talk today, just a little bit. Probably gonna get a haircut after this video, so I figured for all the people who like the hair down instead of up, I would give you one more glimpse at this hair before I chop it off. But forget that, because we had a lot to talk about with my thoughts on the iPhone 14 and why I think that this phone will be the best iPhone to go head-to-head against other Android flagship smartphones, and why I think the decisions that Apple will make for its 2022 iPhone lineup will make it the most successful yet, even outselling the already successful iPhone 13. So if you aren't subscribed yet, what the heck are you doing over there? I'd really like to know. Let me guess, you were probably about to click off this video because I said something you didn't like, or maybe you didn't like the down hair. You're like, oh, I wish it was up, and why is it down? I'm unsubscribing. Well, don't be that person, because I think I'm gonna make some good points here. So sit back and watch the rest of this video. Otherwise, you're a quitter. And you can't quit Greg. We need each other. We do. We really need each other, right? So subscribe, and if you're a returning Greg's Gadgets viewer or hostage, just, click the like button. And, rate my hair in the comments below, I guess. Alright, so why am I so confident that the iPhone 14 will be more of a success than the first 5G iPhones? And why do I think that Android flagships will have a hard time competing against the iPhone 14? Well, I think it's because that this iPhone 14 is going to sport a number of changes that will have more people buying an iPhone than ever before, and I think a lot of that's actually going to be coming from Android switchers. I think this mostly starts with the design of the iPhone 14, which, based on renders from John Prosser, does look like it will borrow a lot of the design traits of one of the most beloved smartphone designs of all time, the iPhone 4. Not only that, but the iPhone 14 Pro is rumored to actually be removing the notch this year in favor of a hole punch display, and recent leaks and rumors say that this shape of the hole punch display will be in a pill shape. I think this alone addresses a lot of the complaints that certain users had with the iPhone since the iPhone 10, and while I'm not sure how many people are truthful when they said this, but I've seen a lot of comments over my time covering the iPhone and just talking to certain people that they did not like the design of the notch, and a lot of people claim that they wouldn't buy an iPhone until Apple removes it. And while the notch has never and continues not to bother me, I'm going to take other people's opinions here at face value and say that a notchless iPhone could be more appealing to people who were bothered by it in the first place. But besides just the general notch hate, a new iPhone design always sparks more interest than an updated design with the same body. And this is usually a good cue for people to start their upgrade cycle, because they want a phone that looks different than the phone they are currently using. So if the rumors are true, not only about the body changes, but also about changes like the removal of the notch, this iPhone will really stand out as a new design, and that in itself will be a big driver for people buying this phone. Of course, that's not the only reason I think the iPhone 14 and 14 Pro will dominate this year, because the regular iPhone 14 is rumored to actually retain the notch, and that pill-shaped little cutout I was showing you, well, that apparently is going to be an exclusive design for the Pro phones. However, the regular iPhone 14 will be changing something much more important than just the cutout on the top of the display. And I think this change for the iPhone 14 will actually drive more sales, because it will be introducing a new, bigger size model. Yes, sadly it seems the writing is on the wall for the iPhone mini, and it will be discontinued from the iPhone 14 lineup. However, while the Mini has its fans, it is not selling in large enough numbers, because people are opting to go with bigger size phones. And we can really see that with the success of the iPhone 13 Pro Max being one of Apple's most successful iPhone models. Well, this year, Apple will be introducing a second larger iPhone into the lineup with a regular iPhone 14 Max. The iPhone 14 Max should come with the same 6.7-inch size display as the iPhone 14 Pro Max, and will probably have the same benefits of a larger phone, like more space for increased battery capacity, so even longer battery life on one of the base model phones. More importantly, this introduces the first big screen iPhone under $1,000 that we have seen in quite some time. That alone will be a huge selling point for customers, and in particular, people looking to switch from Android who don't want to drop $1,099 on the Pro Max, but have become accustomed to usually the larger size displays of mid-range and flagship Android phones. I think this will hold especially true if Apple is aggressive in its pricing structure and takes that 6.1-inch size iPhone 14 and moves the price of that into the iPhone 13 mini slot at $699, and then take that iPhone 14 Max and price it at $799, and then the Pro versions of both of those phones with the iPhone 14 Pro starting at the same $999. Then again, if you have all the money in the world, iPhone 14 Pro Max at $1,099. I'm doing this a lot. I don't know why, but it's like I'm conducting the video. We're conducting the video. Now, this would also work wonders if Apple continues to sell the iPhone 13 in the lineup, like they did with the iPhone 12. Moving the 14 down in price means moving the 12 further down in price as well. And we could see an iPhone 13 mini start at $499. Unless Apple decides to just rip that band-aid off and stop selling the mini model entirely, which is certainly plausible this year. But either way, the more popular phone for that lineup would just be the regular size iPhone 13, and if that's at $599, that's gonna end up being a really good phone. And that would secure a big portion of mid-range phone buyers who would still be able to get last year's Apple flagship at basically a $200 discount from when it launched. And it would ensure Apple's dominance in phone sales from the $500 to $1,000 price range of smartphones compared to any other Android flagship. Of course, there's still more that Apple will do to increase the sales of the iPhone 14 series, and I think that also comes with what is probably the most important decision these days when deciding to upgrade to a phone: the camera. This year's iPhone 14 Pro looks to sport one of the biggest camera upgrades in iPhone history, with rumors that Apple will be adopting a bigger size 48 megapixel sensor, something that Apple has held off on doing for a few years now, as most Android flagships have already moved to these bigger camera sensors. Now, these upgrades are kind of complicated because most Android smartphone manufacturers use a process called pixel binning, which basically combines 4 adjacent pixels next to each other, and while the bigger sensor is technically gathering more data, it is merging those pixels, and the final resolution output of those photos is actually closer to like 12 megapixels. So it's not really that drastic of a change as the number implies. However, there are some promising rumors here, and Apple could be taking a slightly different approach. Now, while it will have a 4-cell merge output mode, where the sensor has the 48 megapixel sensor, but then they group them together in like that 4 cluster to generate kind of like a more detailed 12 megapixel image, there's also the chance that Apple is going to enable some sort of pro megapixel mode, where if the lighting conditions are good enough, you could use the full size of that 48 megapixel sensor for some photos. This feature would make sense on the Pro model of iPhones, where Apple has been giving users more control over their photos with features such as Apple ProRAW and ProRes Video, as well as macro photography. Either way, Apple rarely makes megapixel jumps. Look at the history of the iPhone. They were on 8 megapixel sensors when so many of their competitors were jumping up to higher megapixel counts, and that 8 megapixel sensor was still kind of dominating. And when they did switch to the 12 megapixel sensor, the photos were dramatically better. So it stands to reason that with Apple's computational photography and this new sensor, and Apple kind of waiting for the technology to be right rather than just putting it on a spec sheet, that the photos we get on the 14 could even be noticeable, a noticeable enough leap above the already fantastic iPhone 13 Pro's camera system. And it will also include 8K video recording on the iPhone 14, which in itself will be a big feature, as Apple's smartphone video is widely regarded as the best video quality, and this resolution jump will make it easier to crop video and for digital zooming, which is very popular these days, to preserve more detail from our videos with these phones that we just carry in our pockets. It's actually really amazing that we're going to get an 8K video iPhone this year, I think. Because the iPhone 13 camera system is already regarded as one of the most consistent and best quality smartphone cameras all around when you compare it against most Android, did I say Android right? Android smartphones. And it seems like this big iPhone 14 upgrade could seal the deal for the iPhone 14's fate as the smartphone camera king and wipe the floor with any Android flagship. Yeah, just another one of those. You like that, right? So yeah, I really think when we take a step back and look at what Apple is rumored to deliver here with the iPhone 14 lineup, I struggle to find a fault in Apple's strategy here. And I think this will probably end up being one of the most successful iPhone lineups in history, and it will be very hard for Android flagships to compete, at least here in the United States, where iMessage adoption is on the rise and more kids than ever are choosing an iPhone over Android. And if Google doesn't get their stuff together in a few years and figure out this messaging thing, it's gonna spell a lot of trouble here in the States. I know in other countries, you guys are all on other messaging platforms. You don't care about iMessage and all that stuff. But here in the United States, it's a big deal. So Google's got to do something. Android's got to do something, because it looks like Apple is going to continue dominating with the iPhone. But anyway, that's why I think the iPhone 14 will destroy Android this year. Please let me know if you agree or disagree with me in the comments below. And as always, if you like the video, make sure you leave me a like. And if you want to see more, like if I was actually right or wrong about the iPhone 14 being a success when it's released, well, make sure you click the subscribe button, because if the iPhone 14 is a failure, it would be pretty funny to see me say that I was wrong. And would I have to make a bet? Like I would shave my head bald if I was wrong. Would I be so bold as to do it? No, you can't chop that off. It just wouldn't be right. Anyway, if you got to this part of the video, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all with a haircut in the next video. Take care, everyone.